With 2021 coming to a close, today's World of Tanks console video is going to recap over the year and whether or not World of Tanks console has thrived or been destroyed. The premise of today's video is to go over all of the updates that have happened this year and give an overview as to whether or not the game has really moved on since update 6.0 in late December in 2020. Obviously over a year ago now since the dreaded update 6.0, and we'll basically recap what's happened. Well, obviously Modern Armour became part of World of Tanks console, whereby now you can play Cold War game mode, and obviously we can have a look at the player base numbers to have a look at how that actually went. Obviously, it reached probably one of the highest peaks that you ever see within World of Tanks console's history as of the release of World of Tanks Modern Armour and all of the brand new modern tanks, and you'll quickly see the rapid decline until the point at which we are now, where we have significantly lower player numbers overall every single week and every single day, and you can see in fact it's at one of the lowest points in the history of World of Tanks console, going by the website on screen right now. So yeah, it's not looking particularly great for the game in terms of repeating player base and people that actually consistently play the game. You'll actually see that Xbox players have reduced significantly comparatively to the PS4 players. That's where we've lost a lot of the players, and I think that's because Wargaming shifted away from the core game at which the majority of the player base was hanging around. I feel like they lost a lot, and I mean a lot, of their credibility with update 6.0, and players just have not come back. Even after a year, we can see the player base number still at an all-time low. And so I guess really the whole thing over this last year has been that they've tried and tried with new updates and trying to promote this new Cold War game mode, but it hasn't really worked very well. And so I guess at the end of the day, although we still have a pretty active player base and the community is very, very good, as I'm seeing loads and loads of different comments in the comment section of every video I do, I think the game is slowly just becoming less and less about what the community want, and just becomes really a sandbox for a lot of the other World of Tanks versions, whether that be World of Tanks Blitz, World of Tanks PC, and just really testing out whether or not things work. So is the Modern Armour a success? To be honest with you, I don't think so. I don't think that there's any indication in the statistics that Wargaming have that it has worked sufficiently well, and in fact since its release the player base number even dropped further comparatively to what it was previously. Yes, the season passes have been amazing and kept people playing the game, and it's probably for that reason why we haven't seen an absolute crash in the player numbers, is because every season and the reintroduction of a new season, people come back, people try and complete that season pass, and I guess that's what kept the game still going, and that's something that I always enjoy. I love the season pass. Wargaming have done some excellent things this year, giving them credit. However, with recent light in some of the situations that they've come up with, they've been awful, and we're not going to hinder our viewpoint as to what we actually believe. But yeah, I think that it is really important that you voice your own opinion and also give your own kind of gist. Have you been playing more or less since update 6.0? Have you joined the game since this obviously last December in 2020? Are you a newer player? Have you only been playing for the last year? It's always interesting to see what the player base demographic is like, because only Wargaming have the statistics, and obviously we can't access those, so it's always interesting to get a kind of initial view of what you guys are thinking. Obviously you're only a small minority, I guess, over the entirety of everyone that plays World of Tanks console, but yeah, nonetheless it is a massive thank you to everyone that has joined this channel over the last year. It's been such a great time, and of course we've been able to do some pretty positive things. We've had loads of giveaways, we've also done some interesting videos that I think you guys have enjoyed, and obviously I can always help out with some guides and tutorials over the years to come, so it's always good to see you guys enjoying them. And obviously you can request any kind of videos that you want within World of Tanks, and I really hope that you do that, because I do take into account some of your comments. Some of the video ideas that I come up with come directly from your comments, and whether or not I credit them in the description of the videos? Not necessarily, but it's just over a period of time seeing the same sort of comments. Can you do a video on light tanks? Can you do a video on this or that? And all of those over time, it generates me a pretty good picture of what you guys want to see. However, with World of Tanks in general over the last year and the review of World of Tanks in 2021, I think the updates have been very good in terms of if they were blanket and that there wasn't kind of the introduction of Update 6.0. If the game was as it was and they were introducing updates and content as quickly as they have been over the last year, I think the game would have done a hell of a lot better. However, with obviously the very, very rocky 4-5 months that the Update 6.0 after the release of that, kind of left a lot of players with a sour taste in their mouth, and a lot of them have just moved on. I think that 5 months is a long time to go without any real fixes to the game that actually made it playable for a lot of the veteran players within the game, and obviously you annoyed a lot of the players that's directed towards wargaming with the introduction of the crew skill changes where they basically removed everyone's perks and maxed it at 9. I think that really did annoy people within the game. I think there are a lot of differences that I think I would like to see within the game, but I just think the general direction is more aimed towards Cold War, testing out the tanks and really getting that ready for probably an introduction in PC potentially in the future. Don't know if that is guaranteed to happen, but I would suggest that with this being more of a sandbox where they can test all of the different features and how well the community received them, maybe it will end up on PC eventually, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think that World of Tanks should stay true to what it was originally and just make more and more interesting and novel tanks that they've been doing like on PC. Obviously they'll run out eventually and maybe they'll have to start looking into other things in the future, but I don't think creating a whole new game mode with whole new game mechanics was a good idea, and certainly hasn't worked very well for the console version of World of Tanks. Given the fact that, yes, the console version has been a little bit tedious at points throughout this year, as I'm sure many of you will know, especially if you've played the game, especially if you've played it for a long time as well, you'll know exactly what the kind of development cycle is like and how long it can be between updates and stuff like that, and fixes to a lot of the key issues that people face on a day-to-day. I think that is something that Wargaming have done they've improved definitely over the last year. It's definitely got a lot better. The community liaison, Minto Vimto, was fantastic for the beginning of the year up until till he left in October, I believe it was. Now I've really not seen very many kind of face-to-face people within Wargaming showing the community, getting in touch with them. Obviously there is a few people that do reach out, Modern Callout, etc., who is the new community liaison, but I just don't think that it's as present as it was before, and I certainly don't feel as comfortable talking to Wargaming as I once did with Minto Vimto. However, given all of that, we've also had the introduction of a lot of new tech tree vehicles within World of Tanks, whether that be Cold War, which is always good. Any new content is good for me. Any content that Wargaming release is good. Whether or not that is game-breaking gameplay changes, I don't want to be seeing any of that. We've seen enough of those in the last year. We need to really home in on some of the updates where we look at introducing new vehicles, introducing maybe some new vehicle game mechanics, maybe some console exclusive content that isn't just Cold War, maybe a development of a new tech tree line for the World War II game mode that isn't just something copied from PC. Don't know whether that will happen in any of the near future, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. However, I think it is important to note that actually throughout this year we've seen a lot of development in terms of, I think, Wargaming realising that they've kind of messed up quite badly, and yes, they've taken ownership of some of the decisions that they made with Update 6.0. I think that they definitely rushed it out far too quickly within the game, and that definitely led to a lot of problems. However, I think that the current development is getting there. It's not to the standard that I really want the game to be in. I think there's a lot of issues, things like the introduction of the new map filters, which change the colour of a lot of the maps, making them, well, not particularly very nice to look at in the game, and often a lot of the maps actually have a lot more glare than they used to, and sometimes some of them look very washed out or greyed out, which obviously is something you don't want within the game. Wargaming kind of just disregarded everyone's comments when they got released and just ploughed on with it, but hopefully they'll sort that out in the next couple of updates, which they do appear to be looking into. But I guess what we'll have to wait and see is just whether or not they actually live up to their word and do something about it. And also with their introduction of the most recent kind of criticism of Wargaming, I guess, in my video on them introducing damage reduction mechanics for new players within World of Tanks, where they basically mean that new players take less damage than everyone else who's been playing the game. Yeah, what on earth are they thinking with that? But other than that, I think let's get on to some of the good things that have come out of the year, because there's been a lot of negatives, and I guess we've covered them throughout the year. But we do need to take hold of some of the positives that Wargaming have done, and I think that they've done excellent on the amount of sales of loot boxes this year. They've probably sold quite a few, and definitely sold some to me. Unfortunately, having to pay, what, £70 for 27 just to showcase to you guys whether or not that they were actually worth it. And to be honest with you, they probably are if you're going to purchase money or trying to get gold within World of Tanks, especially if you've got a couple of premium tanks within the game already. But certainly don't go spending loads and loads of money within World of Tanks console, because yeah, often a lot of the tanks that you want become on sale for basically pretty nice bundles, and with the upcoming Christmas update you'll be able to actually pick up a lot of the tanks on a 40% discount as of the recording of this video and when it's published. So if you're interested in that, then definitely jump into the premium tech tree and purchase some of the vehicles. But all jokes aside with regards to the sale of them, I think that what we've been seeing is a good development cycle, but however they need to kind of focus some effort towards the World War II. And yes, the introduction of some of the new contracts and stuff have been fantastic. I think that the way that they work is kind of been fine-tuned now, and we've seen a lot of the mercenary contracts coming back, and with the machine in January 2022 within World of Tanks, it's definitely going to look up for the game. I think that there's definitely some things that we want to be seeing further to that. The addition of the French wheeled vehicles, which appear to be coming in January as well, or at least the first premium wheeled light tank within World of Tanks console is coming in January. Whether or not the actual French wheeled light tank tech tree will be coming shortly after that, I would expect so, and so I guess that will be the big World War II tech tree line coming next year, and so I'm really looking forward to that. I think we have some definite good news for the future. We've also got double-barreled Soviet tanks coming next year at some point, and also potentially Wargaming have been teasing the fact of multi-turreted tanks, where yes, you can have multi-turrets, obviously by the name, but don't quite know how that's going to work, but we'll see. Maybe the KV-5 can use some of those droids for once, but I'm not entirely sure how Wargaming are going to end up balancing those, and we may be seeing some typical Wargaming fashion broken tanks as they first release some of the premiums within the game. Hopefully it's not an armadillo situation which they had previously, and we don't want any more Panzer 5-4s within the game causing chaos down at tier 5. So fingers crossed Wargaming get that right, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in 2022, and I'm hoping that you guys will join me back within 2022, and if you don't before then, have a great Christmas. As of the recording this video, it's only 5 days away, so look forward to that, and I hope that you do have a great Christmas as and when this video is uploaded, and if you're watching this in a year's time, I hope you have a good Christmas then as well. So other than that, that is pretty much kind of just an overview as to what's happened this year and the player base numbers that I thought would be interesting to showcase to you guys as to how well the game's going and whether or not you think it's wise investing money into this game at this current point in time, given the player statistics and the current trend at which players are leaving and joining the game. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I hope you'll join me back in one of those videos coming soon. And I hope you'll join me back in 2022 as well. Goodbye.